John. Today we will be presenting our final model for classifying shelter intervention needs in Libya migrant communities. Sheltering, as redefined by George in 2023, is about the process of creating safe and stable living conditions for communities and individuals who were affected by the crisis, addressing their immediate and future needs. So in 2025, Libya remains as a key transit and refuge hub, especially for people displaced by the recent conflict in Sudan. With growing overcrowding and instability, our mission is to maximize the limited humanitarian resources by pinpointing the muhallas that need shelter support the most.
To start off, let's address what we excluded and why. The first category of data we excluded was arrival time. We felt that one's length of stay does not correlate with reduced vulnerability in the current emergency context. Long-term migrants often face ongoing risk and deprivation, as confirmed by recent ACAPS and UNHCR studies. These research show that the extended duration in Libya does not really equate to settlement or lowered vulnerability, as many immigrants still do lack security of stable housing, despite their time of arrival. The second category would be permit status. Given that most migrants lack documentation, absence of permits is not a reliable need indicator given the overwhelming scale of arrivals. Lastly, nationality was not a big focus factor either. Seeing how 90% of migrants are from Sudan, Egypt, Chad, and Niger, one's nation of origin no longer differentiates risk due to universal impact of regional conflict. These exclusions allow us to focus where intervention will matter most.
Concentrated on metrics that align with the best practice. Demographics tell us who make up a community. Moreover, according to the Global Detention Project, migrant women and unaccompanied minors are especially prone to physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. Thus, our model prioritizes muhalla with higher proportion of this vulnerable group. In short, it's not just about how many people live there, but who live there. Second, shelter setting, as IOM emphasized, that it's not just about residents, but also the quality of the shelter. People living in inadequate or informal shelters, such as abandoned buildings or makeshift camps, face serious health and safety issues. Third, self-reported priority needs. These reflect the community's own perception of urgent deprivation and help align external aid with life reality. Finally, population density. From a utilitarian standpoint, focusing on muhalla with the largest population allows us to maximize positive impact per dollar spent, ensuring limited resources benefit the greatest number of people. Now Shaun will explain the classification model.
Based on the four factors we discussed, we then abstracted the data into a composite score, which forms the backbone of the model. Population density, women and children density, and high-risk shelter density will be checked to reclassify the sites if needed. The flow of our model has also been carefully thought out. We first filter out low-scoring muhallas without shelter as a self-reported priority, and then check if they fulfill density thresholds. If they do, they get reclassified upwards, and if not, they remain as low risk. Checking then for high-scoring muhallas, which are muhallas with self-reported high shelter priority and those with insufficient housing, these sites immediately get the highest priority. At this point, we're left with sites neither clearly low nor high risk. We check then for density requirements step by step, making the necessary reclassifications. From our model, the distribution of needs is as such. It should be noted we use quartile statistics to categorize muhallas. While quartile statistics are far from perfect, we argue that it is the best imperfect solution in our scenario. Quartile statistics rely on statistical cutoffs that move along with the data. As data are added or removed, these quartiles move correspondingly. Another reason is that quartiles show relative position. While debating the cutoff system, we also felt that deciding on cutoffs might lead to ethical and logistical concerns around ambiguous muhallas, rendering our cutoffs arbitrary. Through quartiles, we remain impartial, and once muhallas receive the resources they need, their relative position should also update to reflect the changes. Building on our classification model, we further propose our intervention plan to allocate resources.
Monetary allocation would build a composite score using four equally weighted dimensions. For housing risk, the proportion of women and children, population size, and self-reported priority problem. Each factor is classified into high, medium, or low, and then combined. We use equal weighting because humanities setting model must be easy to apply, replicable across locations, and workable even with limited data. This has been shown to work well in past shelter response like Nepal earthquake. If a Mahala scores 0, we assign a small minimum 0.05 so that no site is excluded, because we recognize that communities may still face shelter challenges even though they don't meet our threshold. Our score distribution is like this. It shows that needs vary widely across Mahalas. Most fall in the lower to mid-range, while a smaller group face severe shelter pressure. In Libya's context, we can deploy ceiling-off kits that provide materials like plastic sheeting and framing tools so households can quickly repair leaking or informal shelters. Also, we offer cash for rent subsidies designed to help displaced families secure safer rental housing with better ventilation and shade. Also, we fund repair and upgrade grants targeting substandard dwellings for fixing roofs, improving insulation and drainage for flood resilience.
3 main reasons why the focus is on shelter is to prevent disease, enable other forms of aid, and also because a large proportion of the migrant population face inadequate housing. By providing adequate and sufficient housing, migrants are better insulated against harsh weather conditions as well as diseases. Recent ACAPS and IRC assessments show poorer shelter conditions in Libya directly result in overcrowding, unhealthy living spaces, and risk of disease outbreaks. Second, adequate shelter facilitates the distribution and effectiveness of other forms of aid, such as food, health, and education. People without stable shelter are less able to store food or participate in public services and are at continuing risk of being lost to follow-up by humanitarian agencies. However, over 70% of migrants in Libya face inadequate shelter. Shelter exacerbates existing issues and is the root of others. Key humanitarian actors also recommend shelter response as a first step, demonstrating the urgency of this cause. While shelter is a basic necessity we chose to focus on, we do not look at shelter in isolation. Those with shelter priorities have shelter interventions, and those with food priorities have food interventions. Our plan allocates money to be used according to the priorities the Muhallas reported.
With high limitations, first, we lack information on physical size of each mahala, preventing us from getting population to area ratios and may lead to symmetric and the estimation of overcrowding. Second, self-reported priorities may contain bias. Future field verification can improve accuracy, but the model remains reliable since we mitigate this by triangulating with objective variables. Also, equating assumes all 4 dimensions contribute the same to shelter vulnerability, but this can be easily mitigated by on-site evidence suggesting different weighting, and model can be easily updated without changing its structure.
We believe that our model provides a solution to the current crisis. We have aligned intervention plans with current humanitarian research, grounding our framework in reports from Libya. We ensure that every Muhala gets the help they need, whether it's shelter or other forms of aid. We hope that we can implement our categorization model to properly identify and help those in need. Thank you.